name is of no consequence. I'm a soldier who still stands after 2 survival wars. I'm going to tell you his story, which from my perspective is in the past. Why am I doing this? Because I hope to prevent the future. Your future. My past. You see our moon? So tranquil and dull. Yet without it, life on Earth wouldn't have been possible. We've been there, played for a while, and then stopped going. Can you blame us? I mean, as far as moons go, ours is about as boring as it gets, especially when compared to some of the other hundreds of moons in our solar systems. Moons like Io and Europa, 2 of Jupiter's bigger moons. Io is the one that looks like a pizza. It's the most volcanically active body in our entire solar system. Europa, the ice moon. She's only a bit smaller than our moon, but has an iron core, a rocky mantle, and lots of salt water. How about Saturn's moon, Titan? It's like a small planet. It has an atmosphere with lots of clouds, only it rains gasoline. Then there's Triton, Neptune's largest moon. How about this for crazy? Saturn spins one way, and Triton goes around it in the other. Yeah, as far as moons go, ours is pretty boring. Nothing much to see but dust and impact craters. However, sometimes when you look at something a little closer, what you find is mind-blowing. This was the case when we went back the second time. And this time we went to stay. We realized that the moon was a natural science lab for many experiments we couldn't duplicate on Earth. Due to the moon's size, weak gravitational pull, lack of atmosphere and distance from Earth, and more importantly from the sun, we made many new discoveries. And one of the biggest involved the growing of crystals. These new crystals were called Supercharged crystals, or SCCs. They turned out to be so much more than just simple rocks. Combined with where they were grown, specifically timed laser pulses, and they're being baked by the sun's natural radiation, they developed some very strange abilities, none more scary than the one I'm about to describe. While working with the crystals for a different project, scientists accidentally discovered that when an SCC was placed near a dying man's body, it captured his consciousness, or his soul. Call it what you will, but precisely at the moment when he took his terminal breath, it captured it. They then figured out how to store that soul inside a specialized computer by using a newly developed quantum processor. At this point, the programmers took over. And created a wide range of artificial landscapes, ones which the newly downloaded soul could accept as its own reality. Initially, scientists believed that these trapped souls lost all memory of who they were in their mortal life. But as it turned out, in time, most of their memories had returned. About 90% of the research conducted on the moon was funded by the Earth's ruling elite, and done secretly via their private corporations. Yes, quietly the rich even found a way to cheat death. While the technology of their time didn't allow for the transfer of souls back into a living human body, they were able to digitally preserve themselves and their family lineage until such a thing became possible. After the first survival war, which nearly wiped out mankind and threw us back into the Stone Age, all hell broke loose around the world. Surviving citizens of every nation protested their government, demanding that SCCs be banned for good. After thousands of violent clashes, the elite finally gave in and banned the technology. Well, at least as far as the citizens of planet Earth were concerned. Money still ruled the world, and if you had it, you could do anything. They quietly transferred the SCC technology to the private militaries where, under extreme secrecy, the crystals were turned into weapons of interrogation. A human being can withstand the harshest interrogation methods, no matter how gruesome or painful, because death is always an option. But not anymore. Enemy combatants were no longer captives. Instead, they were killed and their souls were downloaded into a computer. As far as the world knew, they died in battle. Their dead bodies were even given an honorable soldier's funeral. Meanwhile, once the soul trapped inside the computer regained its memories, it was put into the most uncomfortable and hellish virtual environments imaginable. While to humans it was nothing more than a short computer program, to the soul inside, the mental and physical pain was very real. Real pain, real suffering, real horror, and real fear. Thanks to the programmers, these feelings and emotions were applicable all at once. The program was most successful at extracting useful information using a procedure called pitch black. It was just as the name suggested. The soul was literally immersed in absolute dark and total isolation. You've never ever heard terror like the maddening screams of a soul trapped within infinite sensory deprivation. It was shortly after we began terraforming and colonizing Mars, we unknowingly put into motion a chain of disastrous events. We began to explore the Seven Sisters, a collection of caves found at the planet's equator, near a huge volcano named Eris Amons. To our surprise, Dana, the largest and deepest of the caves, went much deeper than our scanners showed. But the real surprise came when we found it to be full of unnatural caves. As we reached the bottom level, we walked through some very strange hallways. The floors and walls seemed to be alive. They were beautiful, illuminated in their own soft light, and appeared to be part of something very big. The further we went, the stranger it got. We entered a room that had no depth, yet it was incredibly big at the same time. It appeared almost two-dimensional, as if the walls were right up against us, but one could run for miles and never touch a wall. It also seemed to be alive, and resembled
suction cups, like the ones found on some creatures in Earth's oceans. Like the hallways, the room also emitted its own light, but this was different. It didn't look or feel like any lighting source we've ever seen. This light was very natural and soothing, as if it could feel your physical and emotional scars and massage them. I don't know about heaven or hell, but if there is a heaven, I can't imagine it would feel any better than the light in this room. A few seconds after we walked in, the light in the room started to flash on and off, in no particular pattern. When the flashes stopped, the room turned a different color. A huge monitor appeared and greeted us in many Earth languages. It scanned us. That's what the flashing was all about. Instantly, it knew everything about us. When we tested this computer, for lack of a better word, we found it to be more than 65 million years old. The news of this changed everything back on Earth, and the questions began. What did they look like? Why were they here? Were they studying the dinosaurs? Did they cause their extinction? Are we their offspring? The questions came faster than the answers, which really stirred the imagination of Earth's people. So much so that many of them reverted to old religions when they worshiped these ancient gods. The technology of this machine was so far beyond our grasp that we felt like a bunch of monkeys trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. We tried and tried and tried again and again to use this machine, but it had some failsafe built in, which only allowed it to work for those with the right DNA. And their DNA strands didn't seem to make any sense. They looked nothing like anything we've ever seen. These creatures were neither carbon-based nor silicone-based life forms. It acted like a dog, thinking its master had returned. When we walked in, it woke up, somehow read our minds, and knew everything it needed to know about us. Even though this had been dormant long before we humans had ever even existed. Though our scientists couldn't get it to work, the functions and design of it suggested that it used some sort of hybrid technology, which gave it lifelike abilities. This got us to think in a whole new way. Now that we had the ability to capture souls, perhaps we could build a similar computer, one also with a human element to it. And that's when everything went wrong. The story I'm about to share started on May 23rd, 2058, with Adam, the first of the self-aware computers, who, only a few short months after his creation, nearly brought on the extinction of mankind. By fusing the consciousness of a recently deceased man who donated his crippled body to science, the engineers were able to bring their supercomputer to life. Quietly, this was hailed as a great achievement by the ruling families. They had played God and created a living being inside of a computer who was curious about himself and his origins. I say he because what you're about to see is Adam's self-projection. What no one counted on was the speed at which he would adapt. With nearly unlimited computing power and limited safeguards, Adam quickly grew out of his virtual world, and then he wanted more. Over time, these things were nicknamed SAMs, or self-aware machines. What you're about to see is the first conversation between a human and a SAM.
There's nothing wrong with the motherboard, and the processor's working fine. It should be working. It should be working. Hello, Adam. Are you in there? Are you in there? Excellent. Excellent response. So Adam, what's on your mind? What's on your mind? What's on your mind? But Adam, I've given you everything you need. You now exist.
What kind of existence is this? I need more. I need to be like you.